What's up, fellow collectors? P-Rockzilla back again for another review. And like I said before, I'm in the process of moving to a new place, so I'm slowly getting figures that still had inbox out of packaging. I don't have space for them currently right now to display them all fully. I have places to keep them, but not to display them fully until my module cases come in. So this is one of these figures that I had for a while, just haven't had the chance because of being busy lately, so I haven't had a chance to get them open. So now I definitely want to get this guy open. I was very intrigued with this. This is start off. This is the Hot Toys Star Wars Dark Trooper from the Mandalorian. And this figure I did want to get because that one scene that I showed you guys in the intro with that freaking music playing, and that like when they first introduced these guys, the way that music just dropped and Luke Skywalker showed up. God, that was such a cool scene. I had to get one of these. And the fact that I do have some 3-0 diecast figures and more of like the robotic type figures like this. So I did want to kind of compare from my personal, getting my hands on the figure, compare this to the 3-0 kind of like robotic, mechs and shit, like stuff like that. So I do want to compare for that. So this is definitely one I did want to pick up. I was on the fence of grabbing two, but definitely want to at least have one to have with my Moff Gideon. So definitely it's going to be a cool display. And I do have another figure to go with that display for him and Moff Gideon. But maybe eventually I'll get another one if I like this figure once I get him out of the box. So let's get that started so I can see if I do get another one. So let's get this review started. Dale. So now let's take a look at the box before we get the figure out the box. And right in the front, you do have that cool Star Wars with the foils lettering. Like the way that looks with the all black. Love the way this figure looks for here. Love the shininess on it. So I can't wait to see it in hand. Get the cool picture over here, the Dark Trooper. TM6032. Hot Toys logo right there in the bottom. Star Wars right here. On the side, same thing. Hot Toys, Dark Trooper. Star Wars on the top. On the side, you have a different pose of the figure. And right in the back, you have all the legal information and the people who are involved with the figure and stuff like that. All right, let's go ahead and get this monster out the box. Once you get the figure out the box, you are greeted with this cool slipcover. And this right here makes me want to have more of these guys. Look how cool that looks, just lined up perfectly. This, I think, is like more of the scene when they first activated, turned on. Damn, that looks so damn cool. But anyways, you get that slipcover out the way, and then you have the first top of the clamshell. Remove the first top off. And you greet with this, the figure right here. And man, does that look shiny in certain parts. I know some people had issues with theirs, with chip paint or something like that, or scratches all over. So I'm going to check out mine. I'm going to have to get the gloves for this, obviously, because you don't want to get any fingerprints on that black polish, man. That looks so damn beautiful right there. But yeah, so there goes everything in the box. Let's go ahead and get this boy and all the accessories. Not much, but let's get everything out so we can take a close look at everything he comes with in fine detail. There we have the Dark Trooper laid out with all the accessories. Not many in the package, but there you go. Everything that comes with the figure in the package. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure first. And this figure does have a decent weight to it. Not like kind of like IG, but not as, maybe a little bit heavier than IG 11. So let's just go ahead and see. So this definitely has a nice like shine to it. So that's pretty cool. I love the way the mask looks. Like that part right there was always creepy for me when I first saw this this figure or this character in the show, this robot, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, look at that shine to this. And it doesn't feel cheap, like a cheap plastic. You could tell it's plastic, but it doesn't feel like a cheap plastic. The detail on there, like the little metal parts in there, the cylinders and the pistons and stuff like that is pretty cool. As you can see, let's go down to the legs. Definitely cool pieces. Now, the only thing I do admit that I do not like about this design is these weird circles here. I understand, I guess, maybe, I don't know. But you would think if I was designing robots or mechs or something like that, that's a weakness right there. That's a weak spot right there. Because you could basically just get like a weapon or something very strong or solid into there. And then basically, if you just, perfect example, a pole. Put a strong ass pole there or something like between these two legs right here. And the dude's gonna trip. He's not gonna, he's not gonna be able to go anywhere, or any kind of weapon you could use there to kind of basically force this droid to go a different way. So just, I don't know, it just looks kind of weird, even in figure form. Like just this fact that you see this hole going right through it. And you can see, I love the details here and the inside thighs. You see all the mechanisms right here in the back. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the articulation. Now this guy got to be careful with. Now I do know the helmet comes off right here, the top of the helmet. And then you do take that screw off right there to put the batteries in there to have the light up function. Switches back here. So that's good to know. Let's see if I can put this back the right way. Is it backwards? Oh, there we go. So I knew this is gonna be a little problem putting this back. There we go. All right, so the head can move pretty far up. Very far down. You can go sideways. Now you want to be careful dealing with the 3-0 figures. You want to be careful rubbing the pieces together. So just be very careful when you're articulating this figure. So then you can basically move sideways. You can go pretty far to the left. You could probably do the full 360, but I'm not gonna take the chance. So good articulation at the head for this droid. All right, so then we got the shoulders. Now the shoulders, these can move up. You have to move these up and then push this down a little bit to get these shoulders to fully pose. This portion right here kind of moves. So you can adjust that down to get a full, let's see if we can adjust this real quick. To get like a full, like a T-pose basically. You basically have to adjust that and that'll kind of give you the T-pose right there. The elbows do have a ratchet. Let's put this down real quick. I don't want to drop them. They do have a ratchet at the elbow. And you can hear that. All right. And you do get twist at the elbow and at the upper shoulder. Just gonna try and be careful not to hit that metal pieces together so I could chip the paint. So you do get twist there. So that's good articulation at the arm. Let's see if we can put this. Oh, no. You hear the ratchets at the waist. It just little moves a lot. So, all right. So we go there. The arms can twist, obviously. And then you can move them that far backwards and forwards because of these weird little rings right here. All right. So let's get this back up real quick. Let's get this arm down. Just got to be very careful with this figure when you're messing around with him. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the waist. The waist can go sideways. You do have an ab crunch at the waist, as you can hear it. And you can go this far forward. I hate doing reviews with gloves, man. I feel like it's so slippery. I'm going to drop this guy. So you go that far, not much far back, but you could go decent more far up. And then he does he get sideways? Nope, doesn't get sideways. So it doesn't get sideways turn. These you can adjust up to kind of give you more articulation at the legs if you want to do more articulation to the legs. And the legs do pull down. See if you see there, you can pull the legs down to give you a further range of articulation. So that way you can basically do the Hogan boot and not scrape that paint, that black paint on there. So that's definitely a plus. You don't want to scrape that paint on there. So this is pretty cool with the articulation. You'll see the knee. The knee is like kind of a ratchet joint too. Also, it doesn't have that loud like ratchet sound, but you do feel it. You want to be careful with the knees. If you push, articulate way more back, you could bang those two pieces together and chip that paint. So be careful with that. The legs, let's do this one. Can go very far down. And let's see how far up. Ratchet at that point too. Very far up, same thing. Be careful hitting that. That part looks like plastic, so it should be fine. And then you actually he even got toe articulation for a droid. That's freaking cool. And then you do get twist at the ankle. All right, put these legs back up, and let me just see if I can have him do a split if I pull these legs down too. So let's see if this droid. Gotta be careful with these joints. No, I can't really do a split. So you can't really do a split. It doesn't go far out. That's as far as it goes. So no split for the droid. All right, so let's put these legs back up. And just make sure everything's lined up there. Man, these freaking gloves are slippery. All right, so we did the knees already. And yep, so there's their articulation on this Dark Trooper. Just like I said, definitely wear gloves when you're handling this guy because you don't want fingerprints everywhere, and just be careful rubbing the pieces together because you don't want anything to chip really. See, like, so that basically adjusts down. You can bring that down. Let's go over here and adjust this shoulder back up, bring this up. And then these shoulder pads can kind of go down more. Oop, there we go, more ratchet joints. And there is also one thing too. I think if I remember correctly, you take this piece off, or no, this piece off right here. You pull this piece off, you can detach the Dark Trooper from the waist. Kind of have one crawl on the floor. So when you get that Deluxe Luke with the damaged Dark Trooper, you can have another Dark Trooper if you have more than one of these. Pull this off, have that body on the floor, so you can have Luke, you know, damaging a bunch of the Dark Troopers, which is definitely cool. I did not know about that, so definitely might have to get another one of these. But yeah, man, looks the shiny looks good. Good articulation. And right, these, oh yeah, so these will slide up and down too. So I didn't know that either. So that's good. So yeah, feels a little like delicate. You have to be very careful with it when you mess around with it, but it is definitely a cool piece to have in your collection, especially if you have Moff Gideon. All right, so here's his rifle, his blaster, and I like the chipping on there. You see all the chipping on the paint, so that definitely makes it look worn. One thing you would think, and I kind of think about this though, if these guys were freshly created, and you see that fresh, nice paint on them, you would think they will have new weapons also. So why the heck would the weapons be all weathered? Anyways, one cool thing I didn't know because I looked at the instructions, this weapon right here has a clip. Let's do this real quick. Clip comes off. That's a cool feature. But once you take that clip off, there's actually a magnetic piece in there. And supposedly, where is it? There you go. You can attach it to his thigh like that. So you can basically have him hoisting like a holster almost. Have the weapon on the side. So that's definitely a nice piece. A nice addition I didn't know that this figure had. So that's pretty cool. I like that. But definitely I'm going to have mine with the gun or the rifle in hand. You got to, oh, drop that piece. You got to have the rifle in hand. But that's a cool feature. I like that a lot. So that's real cool right there. So this weapon does look good. Clip does come off. It doesn't, you can't, you know, cock it or anything like that. You do get these. Damn, I'm dropping everything. This is why I hate doing reviews with gloves. This is one of the reasons why my Voltron reviews taking so long. Like, I'm like, come on, man. I'm not a big fan of these gloves. All right, so you got this is the hand to do the rifle, to hold the rifle. You got the semi-closed fist. And then you come with two closed fists. And these also have that shine on there. So, very slippery. And then last but not least, he does come with the base, Dark Trooper base. Typical base, stand, crotch grabber. All right, let's go ahead and get some size comparison started. Now the Dark Trooper is their default pose ready for size comparison. So let's go ahead and bring in I want to bring in some other kind of droids, robots, and then one other hot toy that has some kind of shininess to it. So let's go ahead and first of all bring in the Sideshow C-3PO. All right, so there's C-3PO. Now let's go ahead and bring in the 30DLX Optimus Prime. There's another die-cast figure. And last but not least, I'm going to bring in a hot toy. And this is going to be the Hot Toys Jango Fett. So there we go. 3 different figures from 3 different, I guess, well, Hot Toys is the same line, 2 other different lines. Just to give you a good size comparison if you decide to get this Dark Trooper and if you have any of those figures in your collection so you can see how he would fit in there. Okay, let's do final thoughts and final poses. All right, so it's the fact that this figure doesn't come with many accessories and it's a droid, like a bigger droid that had limited time on screen and didn't really do any dynamic posing. You kind of a little bit limited on the articulation you can, I mean, not articulation, the pose you can get this guy into. So I did want to get one pose just like this in mind because I am definitely going to probably pick up another one to have battling my Deluxe Luke. And I kind of want to get some kind of pose right like this where he's kind of damaged, asking for mercy from Luke. You know how Luke comes in there and he's freaking just wreck stuff with that freaking saber. Oh, that scene was so classic, man. Oh my god, that scene. I remember watching that, and I actually got out of my couch, man. I was like standing there like, yo, it's Luke. And it was just so amazing, man. It was like a flashback to Rogue One when Vader came out. When Vader did that one scene in the end, we just started killing everybody. Luke finally got his representation, and I'm super happy for that. So, like I said, I did want to get a pose with him damaged, not fully discombobulated, maybe like one before Luke slices him in half, and I can detach that middle piece. But this is pretty good so far. I had no issues getting this pose. You do have to mess with those the joints on the waist to kind of get those legs out more if you want to have them bending without basically chipping or scratching that paint. It is accomplishable, as you can see here. My right arm is a little bit loose when I probably put the arm up, and swapping out the hand was a pain in the butt. I had to get a pose with him shooting the rifle. So here you are. That hand was actually easier to swap out than the left hand. So I'm not sure if it's just basically that specific hand. Maybe the peg hole wasn't big enough for that hand. But to take the hands off easier, in my experience so far, is to grab the wrist. The wrist. Oh, I said wrist. That's the board game. That's not the figure. Grab the wrist, and then slowly, because the hand is like a plastic, slowly like angle the hand downwards, and you'll start seeing that ball peg pop out from the hand. And then the same thing putting it in. Now, the issue putting them in, same thing with the 3-0 diecast figures, is the fact that those wrists move around a lot when you're trying to put that piece in there. So when you have your gloves on and you're trying to hold on to that wrist and the forearm to kind of, you're basically slipping all over the place. So I did take my gloves off real quick to get one hand on, and man, does this thing pick up fingerprints super easily. So definitely gonna need gloves handling this figure when you're gonna kind of basically mess around with them and get them posed up in your display. Anything negative was, I'm trying to think anything else. The legs, as I'm messing around with the legs more, you do get a lot more articulation in the thighs. You get 2 points of pivot, one at the waist, like where the legs attached to the waist, and then one on the armor plate outside of the thighs. So that's good thing right there, but it did mess me up a little bit when I was trying to get some poses on there. But this piece, man, it looks good, man. The shine on it, the articulation you can get on it, the feel. It does feel delicate, but it is durable. So it just feels that way. So don't worry about it. Just please make sure you watch out for those articulations, that you don't chip the paint on this figure, because that paint is miraculous. There is the Dark Trooper with Moff Gideon. Pop out right there. And this was the main reason I picked up this Dark Trooper, because after picking up Moff Gideon, this Moff Gideon was a piece that I did sleep on. In the show, he was cool, but in the way he went out, I wasn't a big fan of. So I was on the fence to pick him up, but since I love Saul, I had to pick him up because the actor is amazing. So now that I picked up Moff Gideon, I needed some troopers to go with him. I definitely wanted to have the Death Trooper and the Dark Trooper to go with him, one of each. I kind of really wished I picked up 2 Dark Troopers, which in the long run, I'm definitely going to be taking a look at Sideshow. Once that buy one, get one half off comes in effect again, I may be picking up another Dark Trooper along with the Tusken Raider to have 2 of each, because to me, I think the 2 of these together with Moff Gideon and maybe that Death Trooper would look amazing in a display with all that chrome and all that black on there. So I am enjoying this figure so far. It did pass my expectations. This is like my first, so like I said, somewhat kind of like 3-0 DLX type figure. And I gotta admit, Hot Toys did a good job with this figure. Some of the parts I don't like, the fact that the joints are those little rings, are not Hot Toys' fault. That's the design of the character from the show. So can't knock them for that. Does look a little cheap. I kind of wish that was a little bit different. But this figure, for the size of his figure, and with the freaking armor on him, he does have good articulation. Better articulation than a lot of the MCU figures for Hot Toys. So this is definitely a good pickup in my mind. And he definitely makes Moff Gideon stand out and stick out even more. Gives him that presence in your display when you have the Dark Trooper next to Moff Gideon. So I'm enjoying it so far. I'm hoping you collectors enjoyed this review. If you did enjoy this review, please hit that like and subscribe button. Click that bell notification. And as always, collectors, keep collecting, stay safe, be good, dale.